And here's Ken.
No big surprise that Reggie White wasn't going to be back with the Eagles, but I think it was a big surprise where he wound up today. Today is a red-letter day in Green Bay as they won the Reggie White sweepstakes today. The 7-time All-Pro defensive end is now a Packer. White's first choices were San Francisco, Dallas, and Washington, but they couldn't come up with the bucks to get it done. The Redskins offered $14 million over 4 years. The Packer deal is reportedly $17 million over 4 years. White says Green Bay's grass field and Coach Mike Holmgren were two of the biggest reasons he chose the Packers. Now, the Colts travel to Green Bay in the preseason, but they will not play the Packers at all in the regular season. Well, we're 2 days into the baseball season, and we almost had our first no-hitter today. Almost. Cubs pitcher Jose Guzman was nearly perfect against the Braves at Wrigley Field. As always in these things, some great defense early. Ray Sanchez comes up with a bouncer off Guzman's leg and throws out Greg Olson at first base. Now some outfield defense. Olson again, this time going deep to right. Sammy Sosa on the run. Great catch. Then Guzman making his Cub debut after winning 16 games for the Rangers last year. Strikes out John Smoltz. Yes, he did go. Guzman had a perfect game through 7. They were bowing to him in the bleachers at Wrigley. Then leading off the 8th, Guzman still with a perfect game, and Terry Pendleton at the plate. Ball 4. He walked him, but Guzman still had the no-hitter. No Cub has ever pitched a perfect game. Deion Sanders ran for Pendleton and took off for second, but Cub catcher Rick Wilkins gunned him down. Guzman went into the 9th with the no-hitter intact, but then with 2 outs. Otis Nixon up. He wrapped the line drive single to left. This Nixon may not be a crook either, but he stole what would have been the 11th no-hitter in Cub history. Guzman did close it out, though. Jeff Blauser stepped up with 2 outs and blooped this one that Ray Sanchez went back on, and made the grab. The Cubs returned the favor on the Braves, beating them 1-0 on the one-hitter by Guzman. One other afternoon game today, it was in the American League. The Angels beat the Brew Crew 3-1. Well, only one team won, but both North Carolina and Michigan received heroes' welcomes when they came home today. The Tar Heels went dome to dome, coming back to the Dean Dome after winning in the Superdome last night. Thousands turned out to cheer Eric Montross and company as they brought home their first national championship in 11 years last night with a 77-71 win over Michigan. It's Dean Smith's second title, and Montross wanted to make sure he recorded it all for posterity. Smith joins Denny Crum, Mike Krzyzewski, and, of course, Bob Knight as the only active coaches with 2 or more championships. Now, the biggest ovation at Michigan's homecoming was for Chris Webber, who, as you've no doubt seen a zillion times by now, called a timeout the Wolverines did not have with just seconds left in the game, effectively killing the Fab Five's final chance. Now, will Webber or any of his teammates turn pro? They have until May 15th to decide if they'll enter the NBA draft. If not, look for Michigan to make another run at it next year. Former IU star and longtime Bob Knight assistant Joby Wright is changing addresses. He's the new head basketball coach at Wyoming after 3 years as the head man at Miami of Ohio. And the Pacers are in Jersey tonight.
What exit?
16W. Thank you very much. They'll take on the Nets. 11 games left in the season for Indiana, and they probably need to win at least 5 or 6 of them to make the playoffs. Now, Reggie Miller needs 11 points tonight to become the Pacers' all-time leading NBA scorer. He goes in 10 points behind Chuck Person's total of 9,096 points and almost that many remarks to other players compiled over 6 seasons. Reggie is in his 6th season with the Pacers as well. Vern Fleming, the steady guy, the 3rd leading NBA scorer in team history, with Herb Williams and Billy Knight rounding out the top 5. But if you go back to the ABA days, and gee, don't we all wish we could, Billy Knight is tops ahead of Roger Brown, George McGinnis, Mel Daniels, and Freddie Lewis. Murderers Row.
A lot of familiar names there.
And, you know, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the Pacers' last championship, 1973. It was May 12th. We're going to do some stories on that coming up.
Good. Gonna do a little
Where are they now? They're still here, most of them, which is good.
Well, I'm glad to hear that they gave Chris Webber an ovation.
He got the Scott Norwood ovation. Remember when he missed the field goal that lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago? Got a great ovation from Buffalo, but just don't do it twice.
Kind of tried to smile a little bit. Almost had a smile. Thanks, Ken. A whole new set of postage stamps is coming out. We'll take a look at those.